what's up? This is JM, host of the Celebrity Grill podcast on iTunes, and you're listening to the Barbecue Central Radio Network. All barbecue and grilling, all the time.
Let's go!
We'll do it live. Okay. Well, do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
So to get that perfect barbecue, you use wood. Are you sure it's safe? Whatever. We put the lighter fluid on, strike the match, and... Oh! Should we call the fire department? That might be a good idea.
Welcome to the Really Big Barbecue Central Show. This is the show that talks about all things that are important to the world of barbecue and grilling. Originating from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city, Bomb City, USA, Cleveland, Ohio, the barbecue capital of the North Coast. I'm your program host, Greg Rempe. Happy to have you aboard here on your Tuesday evening's live fire fun and frivolity show. Should you see fit to get in...
Let's go!
Okay, all right. We're all set here. If you should see fit to join in the show this evening, here's how you do it.
You can get in touch with the show by sending an email to greg@bbqcentralshow.com or on the Twitter and Instagrams at BBQ Central Show.
Anything else you want to find out about the show can be found at the main website, thebbqcentralshow.com. And here's what's happening in case you didn't get the newsletter, which you can sign up for at the main website right there on the homepage. I think it says subscribe to newsletter, click in an email address, and that's all you need to give it. And then every Tuesday around noon Eastern, you'll get the newsletter on what's going to be happening later in the show, or you can just follow me socially, and I'll get to all that here in just a second. Anyway, in about 12 minutes from now, we will be joined by what will be a second-time guest. He came in July last year, hit huge. He's a barbecue legend, the original creator of Oklahoma Joe Barbecue Pits, also the owner of Oklahoma Joe Barbecue Restaurants, Barbecue Hall of Famer, and Barbecue Central Show Guest Hall of Famer, all in the same year of 2021. Joe Davidson returns to the show, and we're looking forward to talking with him. After Joe, because it is the fourth Tuesday of a month, in the first hour, at the 35 past the hour segment, that brings a visit from the creator of DerrickRiches.com, the most esteemed live fire journalist of all live fire journalists. Derrick Riches will rejoin us. We're going to spend a lot of time during his segment looking back from a couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, when I had Jeremy Andrus on the show. Derrick is a follower of the industry, also a follower of Jeremy's, and liking to see what he's up to and things that he's involved with. So we will spend a lot of time during his interview breaking down the various answers and scenarios that I painted for Jeremy and the way that he went about answering those questions. And we'll see what we all agree with, what we might disagree with, what we might think is corporate speak versus real-ass speak. So that will be Derrick. There's some other things we're going to be hitting on as well. Maybe the new Kingsford charcoal product that's infused with nonsense. My words. We also might talk about the Combustion Inc. predictive thermometer, should time permit. But a lot of it, again, is going to be Traeger-related from the interview I did on the 8th of this month with Jeremy Andrus, CEO, by the way. And then we'll move into the second hour, where we will find, because it's the fourth Tuesday of the month, in the second hour, the embedded correspondents. Doug Scheiding, longest-running correspondent. John Solberg from Michigan. Doug's from Texas, by the way. John Solberg from Michigan, the second longest-running embedded correspondent. And, of course, from the great city of Utah, Rusty Monson of Salt City Barbecue. And the third longest-running embedded correspondent will join us for the traditional segment. We have a brand new line of 100% assurity questions. We also have a number of talking points, which will get to after we get through the slew of 100% assurity questions. So, just as we have been doing the last number of months, if you would like to answer the assurity questions right along with us, all you have to do is jump on the Clubhouse app, find the room that's live right now. It's called the Barbecue Central Show, or I guess search my name, however you can get to it. And it's happening right now. Raise your hand once we get there in about an hour. And then you can also answer the assurity questions right along with myself and Doug and John and Rusty. It's very fun. It's exciting for you. It's great for us because we're giving back to the live fire community by allowing you to come up and share the stage with us. Know-it-alls. So we're happy to have you if you would like to do it. And if you've done it already, throw that hand up. That means you're a seasoned vet. You know how to expect the questions and how to answer and all that fun stuff. So we'll see how that shakes out in the second hour. So that's what you have this evening. Joe Davidson shortly, Derrick Riches after Joe, and the embedded correspondence in the second hour, your phone calls and emails as we mix it in. Don't forget you can follow me socially if you would care to. Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and the Snapper Snaps at BBQ Central Show. By the way, if you're not following me on TikTok, I have been making clips of the show, minute or less, maybe a little bit over a minute. It's tough for me to fit that minute time frame that a lot of these social media networks like to get at without doing a lot of editing down of some answers, but I've been really trying to get at least a half a dozen or so posted the days after the live show airs on TikTok. So if you would like to see some of that, at BBQ Central Show on TikTok and give me a follow. For live video feeds of the show, you can go to Facebook and Twitch /BBQ Central Show. Also one on YouTube, which is /RD Rempe. By the way, because I forgot to do it for any number of months, I have summarily dismissed the super chat option.
Get that free stuff out of here.
I saw somebody give me a super chat last week of 99 cents or whatever it was. I forgot to get into the whole don't do that. So to make sure, when I was relaunching and prepping for the show today and I was in the YouTube interface, I saw somebody had given me that 99-cent super chat last week, and I said, I got to get rid of that. I'm never going to see that money because YouTube and I continue to be at odds and at each other's throats at any point of any given day. And it's just not worth it, so I've turned it all off. So nobody can even mistakenly give me money. If you want to give me money, I'll give you my address. You can send me bags and bags of cash. That's what I want. Also, as I had mentioned, we are live audibly on Clubhouse. So if you would like to join us there, more than happy to have you tune in and listen to the various folks that find that to be the most energizing and entertaining way to take in the show each and every Tuesday night live. Outside of all that, let's start right here tonight. This past Thursday morning, the show hit and then crossed the 2 million downloads mark. That number, since I started using the Blueberry stat tracking interface back in 2012. So we all know this show started live in 2008 and then 2 years prior to that in podcast. So certainly way more than the 2 million we just crossed this past Thursday. But this is a verifiable number that I can produce to anybody that would want to either question it or see it for themselves. So I want to take this moment and personally thank each and every person that has downloaded even one episode. It all adds up. And the fact that all of you continue to listen and tell others about it, this is why the show continues and is able to reach these milestones of downloads. So from the bottom of my heart, I just want to say thank you for even spending 1 second of time listening to the show, hoping that it's bringing you education, entertainment, some levity, some seriousness when it has to. But I'm very humbled that any of you even bother listening to it, so thank you very much. And what a month February has been when we look back on it, right? Perhaps the most successful month in show history on a myriad of fronts, if we could recap. Earlier in the month, we celebrate 14 years of live shows, that being February 7th, specifically 2008. We landed a publicly traded CEO, not one, but 2 interview segments for the first time in show history. There has never been a CEO of a publicly traded company on the show ever. We finally land one on February 8th of this year and this month. And now the show crosses the 2 million downloads threshold. You know, a lot of shows would walk off on the strength of this month alone, but not the Barbecue Central show. No. This is where we dig in and prove that the first 14 years and the first 2 million downloads weren't horseshit. We book better guests, we give better content, get bigger audience reach, and get to the next 2 million downloads much quicker than the first 2 million downloads. We work smarter and harder. Why? Because why wouldn't we do both? And when I say we, I mean me. Because I am here for you. I am ready to continue worldwide domination in this live fire space. Who's with me? Let's go. I'm Jack, baby. We're just waiting on Joe Davidson to show up in the green room. But before we get to him, talk a little bit more barbecue with a barbecue icon like him, I will talk to you quickly about Yoder Smokers. They design and build all of their pits right here in the States, and building pride through craftsmanship, world-class customer service. That's the backbone of how they've built the company. This approach translating into what can be a truly bespoke style product that elevates gatherings with friends and family, honored to have a trusted place in the backyards of America. From pellet grills to wood-fired offset pits and charcoal cookers, consistent blue ribbon flavor has become synonymous with the Yoder Smokers name. Make no mistake, Yoder Smokers' flavor-driven design, unique to each style of pit, and their team has developed their cookers to perform time and time again while outlasting the competition for generations to come. It's this generational thought that's rooted in the handmade products and defines the integrity of the core values. American-made quality, endless flavor, the benchmarks of Yoder Smokers. And a lot of you emailing me saying, hey, are you just BSing that you know somebody over at the Howard Stern Show that's in the barbecue and grilling game? I said, no. I know Jason Kaplan. He's the executive producer over there, along with Fafa Flowley. Jason, true barbecue guy. I talked to him. We were counseling on barbecue pits. We settled that the YS640 might be in his best interest. He saw it in person at a dealer. He fell in love. What can I tell you? YoderSmokers.com is the website. Fall in love with yourself and with that cooker all over again. Then you tell me who's steering you the right or the wrong way. Jason got steered the right way. YoderSmokers.com, and we are back with Joe Davidson right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the #1 most downloaded barbecue and grilling podcast anywhere. The Barbecue Central Show. Broadcasting live from the Barbecue Central Show studios in Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
Welcome back. This portion of the show being brought to you by the Barbecue Guru, creators of automatic pit temperature control technology, sellers of ceramic cookers with built-in power draft fans and accessories to make your barbecue and grilling life easier. Visit bbqguru.com for more information, or call them 800-288-GURU. The Barbecue Guru continuing to be a breakthrough in barbecue technology. Kicking off the second hour, tonight is a second hour. I'm already an hour ahead of myself. Kicking off the show tonight is a barbecue legend, making his debut on the show last July to what was rave reviews. Barbecue pit builder, yes. Barbecue restaurateur, yes. Successful businessman, yes. Hall of Famer, yes. Let's go ahead and race to the hotline and welcome back friend of the show, Joe Davidson. Hey, Joe.
Hey. How's it going tonight?
I am absolutely ecstatic to have you back on. And we have a lot of Joe's story to get to this segment, of course, but let's start here. 2021 was a big Hall of Fame year for you. Barbecue Hall of Fame, as I had mentioned, sure. Barbecue Central Show guest Hall of Famer, yes. And I assume that life has really picked up in a positive way since the Guest Hall of Fame honor in late September, Joe. So I want to give you at least a few minutes or seconds right up front if you would care to make any statement to address the Centralites on this huge life achievement.
Really, it was number one, a great honor to be voted in there by your peers. But more than anything else, I got to go to the American Royal. Hadn't been up there in a few years, and it's like a homecoming. When you go up there and you're hanging out with all the rest of the Hall of Famers, it's not a very big club, but we're all good friends, and we enjoy each other's company, and we've just got a long history with them. So what a blast. I got to bring my family up there. We just had a hell of a good time.
Now, outside of the Barbecue Hall of Fame, I mean, screw that. What about the Barbecue Central Show Guest Hall of Fame induction? Now, that's a life changer, isn't it? How about that?
Absolutely. That's exactly right. There's no doubt about that. I have so much fun on this show.
Joe, last time you were on, we were doing a dig back in the history of Joe Davidson and what it was like for you coming up and growing up in Oklahoma and getting into the pit building business. The story that really sticks with me was you going to the fair with 10 or a dozen smokers, hoping that you would be able to sell a few. You sell all of them, and then you're walking away with what I believe was an order for at least 100 more, and now you're in a whole different conundrum of, oh my goodness, how am I going to fill these orders? So I would like to pick up from there and say, now that you're headlong into the pit building business, I love business of all sorts. I love hearing about how deals go down and how business is done. So when it came to the point where the sale of Oklahoma Joe's brand to Charbroil was going to be happening, Charbroil, of course, falls under that W.C. Bradley parent umbrella. Were you at a point in manufacturing where you were openly looking for a partner or looking to sell the business? Or was this something that came out of the blue and they said, hey, Joe, we're big fans of the product and what you're doing. We don't have this in our portfolio, and we would love to figure out a deal to strike up with you.
I met the folks at Charbroil over the years at the National Hardware Show that back then was held up in Chicago. And every time I just really liked not only the company, but I loved the family as well. I mean, this is a privately held group. Many family members are part of it, and it felt right to me. So I went to them and said, hey, I'm ready to take this to the next level. Are you interested in helping us accomplish that? And that was the opportunity to sell the smoker company to Charbroil. Really, it was they also bought the New Braunfels Smoker Company. They were in an acquisition mode at the time, and it was perfect. The timing was perfect. And I got to go take our family to Texas and live down there for 3 years in Hill Country. That's a spectacular part of the world. I was a tourist there for 3 years. Contractually, I had to stay for 3 before we came back to Oklahoma. So I did work with them. I was an employee of Charbroil for 3 years before I came back to Oklahoma.
So you guys strike the deal, and then part of the sale is you have to stay on for 3 years to see, was it to see certain projects through or to bring other products to market? What was that encompassing?
It was really a little bit of both from that perspective. They also bought the New Braunfels Smoker Company. The fellow that owned it did not stay with that, so they really wanted someone with smoker manufacturing in their DNA to help guide that process for true live fire burners.
Joe, when you are in the midst of putting a deal together, certainly there is whatever the purchase price is going to be. Everybody's always interested in that, but I'm interested in other things you're looking at. And obviously, if you were the one kind of pitching yourself to Charbroil as it came to be, there were things about the company. You said it was a privately held, family-owned company. That was obviously attractive. But what other things were you looking at that made Charbroil attractive versus maybe approaching somebody else? And did you do any kind of what I've heard is a reverse RFP where you would go to the potential purchaser's customer base and interview them to see how that manufacturer has been treating them?
We really didn't do any reverse RFPs, but I'll tell you what happened was that I really felt like the world of manufacturing was changing very, very rapidly. And if you want to talk about a company that knew how to manufacture and then begin to source products overseas. And at first it was, everyone thinks that everything just ran to China, but really we were doing more in Mexico with maquiladoras over there, to where we'd put equipment in there, they'd supply the labor force and could build some heavy duty smokers, while New Braunfels was still making some of the medium duty as well. Now that's obviously a brand that kind of went away, and we put all our focus into Oklahoma Joe's, and it continues that way. So although I only worked for them for 3 years, as the founder of Oklahoma Joe's and a brand ambassador for them, I still work with them on a regular basis every month, doing content, and even go to trade shows as well, which I love doing that.
When you look at the cookers that you were building and what's rolling out today, how big of a difference is there, would you say, between those two cookers?
I think that obviously what we were doing, we were cutting 1/4-inch pipe, 16 inches, 20 inches in diameter, 24, etc. Very custom built, 100% hand welded, etc. So there's a big difference between what we were doing then and what we do now. But the reality is that we weren't capable of producing the number of units that the demand is out there for right now. So they've done a great job on bringing great features. And I think in regards to value, really the best value is out there, especially in the pellet units.
Joe, when you are looking, is there a conversation with yourself to say, we're at our max right now, whatever that looked like prior to the sale? And
yep,
I'm good with that. We're going to do as many as we can. We're going to remain custom. We're going to build to what the customer, each individual customer wants. And we're not going to cut corners. It's going to be built here in the States, however you want to spin it. And we're going to put a decent profit margin in there so everybody can stay employed. We can make some money. And that's going to be it, versus being able to really pump out, thousands and thousands of units. You look down into Houston, Gator Pit, Close, all these custom pit manufacturers who, maybe do hundreds a year versus thousands and thousands a year. Did you have any of that back and forth, or did you just have enough of the custom stuff and you really wanted to ramp up into bigger production?
I wanted us to continue to grow and grow the brand. And I just felt like the best opportunity, the best way to do that was to hand it off to someone that had the resources to really drive that growth and that production aspect of it, and bringing those products that were from overseas to the United States. There's a certain level of complexity that my team wasn't equipped to do.
You're an offset guy from way back. Obviously, that's how the smoker was built originally. I've been asking this question for years now to folks that are like you, who've been in it since live fire was real live fire, and you've seen the growth of pellet cookers here, especially over the last 5, 6, 7 years, really start to take over the backyards, where maybe folks now have a gas grill and a pellet cooker, or maybe they have 3 cookers out there in the backyard. Who knows what they have? Are you surprised at how accepted the pellet cooker has been just on a large scale?
No, not really. I've always thought that pellet grills were spectacular. And the thing I love about ours is that it really has, in effect, it's replaced my gas grill, because I can turn that bad boy on. 10 minutes later, I've got it up to 600, 650 degrees. I can sear steaks. I still get a level of smoke flavor. It's not the same as a stick burner, and it doesn't pretend to be a stick burner, but it's convenient, and it's changed the way that many, many individuals have learned how to cook in their backyard, and gave them that convenience. And quite honestly, it gave them the confidence to be able to cook better in the back than they could with a stick burner. A stick burner is not for the faint of heart.
When you look at the percentage of cookers that Char-Broil is selling now, is the pellet cooker the leading or second in line?
No, it's not leading yet, but boy, it's catching on very, very rapidly. I'll tell you that much. So realistically, when you still look at those models that are out there, I love the reverse flow unit as well. It just really cooks so evenly, and I can get a long burn time out of it. And tell you what, the drum cookers, if you've never cooked on one, you should try, because you talk about long burn times. Those dudes are great when it comes to that. So there's a combination of products that are all coming forward, and very, very cool accessories as well to go with those.
Joe Davidson joining us here on the show, Barbecue Hall of Famer, Barbecue Central Show guest Hall of Famer, okjoes.com, the website, of course, and we'll transition into that website, and that being the restaurant website and restaurant business. So you've accomplished what you wanted to accomplish in the cooker portion. You're still keeping your feet in the water there a little bit with Oklahoma Joe's, owned by Charbroil at this point, with the pellet cookers and the drum cookers and stuff that you'd mentioned. Was there always a drive to get into the barbecue restaurant side of things? I mean, that's for restaurants being as volatile as they are alone, to add barbecue on top of that seems to be the risk taker's risk.
What it boiled down to for me was that, going through my life cycle of barbecue, making the smokers, going into competition, winning world championship cook-offs like the Jack Daniel's American Royal, World Pork Barbecue Colossal, it just seemed like every time I had someone coming, and we had busloads of Europeans would come over that were selling Oklahoma Joe smokers in Europe. And you know what they want to do? If they're coming to a smoker manufacturer and you're world champion, they want to eat barbecue. So it was as of a convenience as any other thing. And I tell you, obviously in competition barbecue, I'd had a lot of friends that I'd made over the years. And one friend in particular, Jeff Staney, I just kept telling him, said, man, you and I need to get in the restaurant business together. You'd be spectacular at it. We would be a great team. And I think you should come to Stillwater, and we'll open our very first one here. And then we'll find a place in Kansas City to open one up there.
So you convince him to move down to Stillwater, Oklahoma, to open up an Oklahoma Joe's?
It took me a long time. I'm going to tell you, he kept telling me, he says, man, no, I do not want to do that. And I kept telling him, I said, man, there's no better way to build equity in your own future than to own your own business. So it didn't happen overnight. It took me a long while to get Jeff to come down, and Joy Staney is an equal workhorse with Jeff as well. So they both really were in a food business. They worked for food service companies. And so they knew the business, and I just knew that Jeff was the type of fella that wouldn't let it not be successful.
You look at one of the most important things to a successful barbecue restaurant, and you and Jeff have those covered in spades, both world championship pitmasters. You part of the Hogamaniacs running wild, and then Jeff Staney, of course, with Slaughterhouse 5 and, amassed world championships between you, probably a mountain size high. But then there's the business side of things. So what were there definitive responsibilities between you two? Was Jeff more of the business portion of it because he had that background? I mean, obviously you have a business background too, and then you were pitmaster. Or was everybody sharing in everything? Because you got to be good at both.
Yeah, we were, and we were both very good at both, to be honest with you. So we've always been pro forma driven. We want to do things. We've done enough for practice to make a living now, and thus we really knew that we would have to, number one, just absolutely work our tails off to make it successful. And another thing, my favorite statement that Jeff and I like to use is that it only took us about 10 years to become an overnight success. It doesn't happen quickly, and especially when you start talking about going to Kansas City and standing on the shoulders of these titans of barbecue up there, and to eventually work yourself into being one of the top barbecue joints in Kansas City. I couldn't be more proud.
When you guys are down in Stillwater making that first Oklahoma Joe's happen, I'm always fascinated with, what seems to separate the great barbecue restaurants from the run of the mill. And that seems to be, you walk in at any point during which they are open, and you can produce perfect barbecue no matter what the hour. It's not that it was just fresh off the pit. You showed up at the right time and it was great. Could be at any point. How do you do that?
Yep. Well, our methods differ than most people's do. A lot of joints, there's just, we pull it off the smoker and we're going to sell it until we run out. And when we're out at that point in time. So we really looked at it I looked at it from the perspective of manufacturing, and I hate to use that word for barbecue, and I'm a barbecue connoisseur and loving barbecue the way I do, but the reality is that you've got to have a process that you can completely duplicate that every single time. So we kind of act like a little USDA facility with a whole HACCP plan and cryovacking and sous vide, and we reheat differently than most people do as well. So that's we really our process, documented it, and we teach and train all the time on that.
Joe Davidson joining me here on the show, Oklahoma Joe's Barbecue, of course. So you have 3 locations in the Tulsa, Oklahoma area or greater metro area,
Correct.
Whatever you want to call it?
Sure. Yep. We've got 3 here, and then we've got one franchisee up in Omaha as well. And then Jeff has the 3 Joe's Kansas Cities in Kansas City as well.
There is the one classic location, the Joe's KC out there in Kansas City that I think everybody goes to. Are you surprised? And maybe you're not because you know Jeff and the work ethic and everything you guys shared, but that seems to be, when you mention Kansas City barbecue, things that roll off the tongue include Gates, Arthur Bryant's. Maybe the next one is Joe's KC. Are you surprised that it has reached that level of success?
No, not whatsoever. You know, what both Jeff and I said from the get-go is that we're not afraid to go to Kansas City and open a restaurant, but if we're going to do it, we damn sure better cook better barbecue than they do. And I think that that's really what we focused on. When you look at the DNA of how our barbecue is cooked and prepared, we're still using the same dry rubs we were in competition, the same sauce we were in competition. So we just try to take it at a level to where we said, okay, if we're going to do this, we're going to do it better than anyone else does. And we're absolutely going to not cut any corners when it comes to the food quality and the processes and the cooking times, the bark on the brisket, the burnt ends. So the things that really helped us succeed in competition, we brought that all over to the restaurant business as well.
You have the 3. Do you have plans on growing any more? Or if you were to grow, would it be just through franchising?
That's a good question. Obviously, franchising is something I'm very interested in. I don't think I'm very good at it yet, but we're still working on that process right now. But I will tell you that I'd like to probably open some more. COVID's changed everything in the restaurant world. And I mean, we're lucky we survived it,
Yeah, for
but
sure.
the reality is that people's dining patterns have changed. They like online ordering. They like drive-throughs. They like convenience there. And it's not so much wanting to go to the joint and eat inside of it. It's just they want barbecue, So we're really working on a new model that's going to focus on, it's going to have dine-in service in there, but really focusing on the drive-through and the experience using the drive-through to get barbecue.
Joe Davidson is my guest, and the website, of course, okjoes.com, or if you're looking for a smoker, oklahomajoes.com as well. Joe, really appreciate the time this evening, catching us back up there on the pit building and the transition there, and then, of course, the restaurant talk. And, man, it is just a pleasure to have you on the show. Look forward to doing it again soon.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Greg.
You got it. There he is. Barbecue Hall of Famer, Oklahoma Joe Davidson. Great conversation as always. Loved hearing about the sale of the company. You know me, I'm a business guy. I love to hear about that and what the goal was. Very interesting to hear that he was the one that was approaching Charbroil to say, hey, I've reached my limit, would like to go to that next level, get the brand out there, really involved with the brand and the growth of that. Loved hearing about that. And then restaurants. Woof. And barbecue restaurants at that, but success there as well. Appreciate Joe for coming on and sharing all of that. Derrick Riches is hanging out in the green room right now, and we'll get to him here in just 1 second. Before we do that, I will talk to you about my pal David McDowell and David Leans and the Do Wellness Company. Centralites, maybe you've heard that having a dad bod was cool. Well, take it from a stud like me, it's not. There is nothing sexy about wearing your gluttony everywhere you go, not to mention being overweight increases the risk of all causes of mortality, including strokes, cancers, coronary artery disease, sleep apnea, hypertension, osteoarthritis, and my favorite and yours, mental illness. Making the decision to change decades-old food habits can be the difference between you attaining your health goals versus dealing with the unknown health challenges that your family will have to face down the road. Luckily, thanks to my pal and friend of show, backyard barbecue enthusiast, and men's health and wellness coach, David McDowell, you can eat barbecue all year long and still lose the fat. With David, you've got assistant around the clock. He's just a text message, an iMessage, or a WhatsApp message, or an email away. He's also available to FaceTime, Zoom, WhatsApp video chat whenever you need the help, even on short notice. Did you know some coaches doing this kind of thing charging $500 a month for a canned diet plan, 1 to 2 check-ins a month? It's outrageous. Partnering with David allows you to have a resource who's available effectively 24/7. But not for $500 a month, not for $300 a month. Barbecue Central rate, $200 a month. That's right. Lose all the unwanted fat for only $200 a month for the rest of the year. Don't wait. Get on it now so you can complete your health target for 2022. David's personal guarantee to you that if you are honest and make the effort, you'll succeed in losing the fat. And if you don't, he'll refund you 100% of your investment. No questions asked. Ready to go? Of course. Hit the website, David Leans, like lean beef, leans, davidleans.com/BBQ. That's davidleans.com/BBQ to sign up. Do it now. Quit being fat. Fat! We're back with Derrick Riches. Not fat. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Howard Stern, Jim Rome, Dan Patrick, and Greg Rempe. The Mountain Rushmore of talk show entertainment. Now, let's get back to the Barbecue Central Show.
Welcome back, and this portion being brought to you by cookinpellets.com, your number one source for quality wood pellets. For all your pellet-driven cookers, visit cookinpellets.com for more information or to purchase or to see the other products that they have to flavor your food with smoke essence. Once again, that website is cookinpellets.com. It is the fourth Tuesday of the month, and that means we go to the hotline and welcome in the most respected barbecue journalist in the biz and my pal, Derrick Riches. Hey, Derrick.
Hey, Greg. How you doing?
I am fabulous. How about that Oklahoma Joe? He's a gas, isn't he?
Oh, yeah.
Do you know Joe?
Great guy. We've met. It's been a while, I think.
Have you interviewed him and like done a piece about him at all?
No, I haven't.
Derrick, the show has opened up now 14 years of live interviews, fun, and barbecue frivolity, as we like to say. Do you think in 20 years from now, or perhaps even 10 years from now, when people want to go back and track the last 15 to 16 years, the only barometer of truth and tracking of live fire will be, of course, the Barbecue Central show?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Anything that's happened has been tracked, right?
Yeah, I would think, basically, yeah. Need as long as you've got it indexed well so we can find everything.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, search words. You just pop in like Derrick, or you could even go in like Riches or Bristly or something along these lines, and everything you've ever done shows up. So I've been really key the last handful of years at putting in just ridiculous keywords for people to search, so it brings it up real easily. Welcome aboard, of course. Happy to have you here in your monthly segment. So I wanted to review some of the Jeremy Andrus portions of my interview that I had on February 8th. I guess first and foremost, are you surprised that he even showed up and did the interview?
Not terribly surprised. I mean,
No?
I think it was I think it was a good coup for you. Usually the interviews he does are in pretty controlled environments. And a lot more in the tech world than in the barbecue world. So, but no, I think it's good for you that you got him.
Yeah, it was great. I was kind of 50-50 right there at the end that maybe a magical meeting would have come up, or maybe it was just a complete shine. I mean, who knows? But I was very happy that he came on and then did the 2 segments that he said he was going to do. So that was great. Were you surprised? I know you had taken in the interview segments. Were you surprised he answered as much as he did regarding the Green Mountain Grill top?
Yeah, my suspicion was it was going to be, I cannot comment on ongoing litigation.
That's what I
and
figured.
just kind of leave it at that. But, it's worth throwing the question out, of course. And he was a lot more open. I don't know that he said anything dangerous. It was a lot of, we don't like being litigious, but we will defend our patents. And, we worked really hard to invent all the things with this stuff.
He mentioned
one-sided.
that there have been settlement opportunities during this time that Green Mountain Grill hasn't taken advantage of. Would you speculate that if this seemed like a fair settlement for everybody, the Green Mountain Grill would have taken it versus continuing on as they have?
I don't know what the terms of those are, and nobody seems to be terribly forthcoming with it. I am going to be meeting with some people from Memphis Grills next week. And they are one of the companies that received the cease and desist on the production or importation of Wi-Fi connected pellet grills. But they still offer a Wi-Fi and Bluetooth enabled pellet grill. Now, I don't know what terms there are with that. I'm hoping to try and coax some more information on that subject to kind of bring a little more light to this. I don't know if they made a deal or if, they had to do some finagling to kind of work their way out of it. But so I don't know. I mean, Green Mountain Grills has really stood their ground on this one. And if it was just a poison pill situation where it's like, we'd be out of business if we took your situation, or if it was, we think we can win this and we're just going to go for it. And time will tell.
I had followed up with if other companies were in a similar unpatented technology, should they be nervous? He rebuffed that pretty quickly with the old, this is where my general counsel is going to come through the computer and tell me not to answer. So let's go down that path for a second, since we can allegedly, if the ruling is affirmed by ITC, the damage remedy the Traeger seeking for Green Mountain Grill will put Green